There's not a day goes by I don't feel regret. Not because I'm in here, because you think I should.
My name is Red, and I am a prisoner. I've been in Shawshank prison for nearly 20 years, and I've learned one thing. These high walls are merciless. They don't care who you once were. In here, you are just a number, a shadow, a person forgotten by time. I used to think my life would end within the high walls of Shawshank, until that man in Dufresne walked into my life. It was a quiet afternoon, and the sun shone through the high walls onto the drab exercise yard. Andy arrived, like a gentle breeze, quietly blowing into this lifeless prison. He was tall and slender, wearing a pair of wire-rimmed glasses. He looked like an educated. He stood in front of me with a hint of unease in his eyes, but more so, a sense of calm. At the time, I was the inside man, and for a fee, I could get you anything you wanted: cigarettes, playing cards, even a small rock hammer. Andy spoke. He wanted me to get him a small hammer, a kind used for carving. I looked at him and inwardly scoffed at his naivete. How could a prison tolerate such a dangerous item? I told him it was too dangerous, that the prison had strict rules, and getting it would get me into big trouble. But he insisted with a look of determination in his eyes that made me curious. I eventually agreed because I saw the persistence in his eyes, a kind of longing for freedom. Andy's story began the moment he walked into Shawshank. He was a banker who was sentenced to life in prison for the deaths of his wife and her lover. He firmly believed he was innocent, but the law found him guilty. In Shawshank, he was bullied by fellow inmates, but he never bowed to evil. He used his knowledge and intelligence to help the guards and warden with their bookkeeping, and even helped inmates get their diplomas. He created a world of his own within the prison walls. Andy's arrival brought hope to Shawshank. With a small rock hammer, he carved chess pieces on the wall of his cell, used his professional knowledge to do the guards' taxes, and even built a library in the prison. Everything he did was like a declaration of war against the prison. He used his actions to tell us that even within high walls we can have our own dignity and hope. Andy's hope, like a seed, slowly took root and sprouted in Shawshank prison. He secured educational opportunities for his fellow inmates, allowing them to learn again and become better people. In his own way, he helped the inmates escape the despair of prison life and see hope for the future again. Andy's escape for me was a dream. With a small rock hammer, he dug a tunnel for 20 years and finally broke out of Shawshank. His escape wasn't just about escaping the confines of the prison, but also about reclaiming his dignity and freedom. When I found out he had successfully escaped, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. I was happy for him, but I also felt ashamed of myself. I used to think my life would end within the high walls of Shawshank, but Andy used his actions to tell us that hope is eternal, and as long as we hold on to hope, we will surely find our own freedom. After Andy's escape, I was finally granted parole. When I walked out of the gates of Shawshank, I felt an unprecedented sense of freedom. I stood in the sunlight, looking at the blue sky and white clouds, but my heart was filled with confusion. I didn't know where to go or what to do. I used to think freedom was just escaping prison. But when I truly gained my freedom, I realized that freedom is not just the liberation of the body.
Please sit down. Ellis Boyd Redding, your files say you served 40 years of a life sentence.
Rehabilitated? Well, now let me see. No, I don't have any idea what that means.
Well, it means you're ready to rejoin society.
I know what you think it means. To me, it's just a made-up word. A politician's word. So young fellas like yourself can wear a suit and a tie, have a job. What do you really want to know? Am I sorry for what I did?
Well, are you?
There's not a day goes by I don't feel regret. Not because I'm in here, because you think I should. I look back on the way I was then. A young, stupid kid who committed that terrible crime. I want to talk to him. I want to try to talk some sense to him. Tell him the way things are. But I can't. That kid's long gone. This old man is all that's left. I gotta live with that. Rehabilitated. It's just a bullshit word. So you go on and stamp your form, Sonny, and stop wasting my time. Because to tell you the truth, I don't give a shit.
But also the release of the soul in. The end. I followed the clues Andy left behind and arrived at a seaside town in Mexico. I saw Andy by the sea working on a boat. When he saw me, he smiled a long-lost smile. I knew in my heart that even though we were in different worlds, our friendship had never changed. Andy's story taught me a lesson. Hope is eternal. And as long as we hold on to hope, we will surely find our own freedom. As the saying goes, some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. Andy was that bird. He used his actions to prove to us the greatness of freedom. Me name is Red, and I'm a prisoner. I used to think my life would end within the high walls of Shawshank until that man Andy Dufresne's his hope to ignite the light of my freedom.